Hi everyone, welcome to Maximum Attack Rallying. As promised, this is the one of the little bonus videos. Let's call it a little bonus video. Obviously in the last episode we talked about Safari Rally and the points, but there was a couple of other things I wanted to talk about based on some news snippets. So I thought, let's do some bonus videos just to keep it spread out, keep you coming back for more, hopefully. That's the idea anyway. I keep thinking to myself, I want to do more videos, so I thought I'll try and spread it out a little bit rather than doing multiple topics in one video where there's a bit more meat on the bones. Perhaps I will try and spread it out a little bit into multiple videos. And this is one such video because I wanted to go back to a topic from a couple of weeks ago, and that was the British Rally Championship, which enjoyed its first round at the Northwest Stages in Lancashire a few weeks ago. And this week, on Tuesday, was it Tuesday? The 2nd of April, the coverage, the highlights package was shown on ITV in the UK, ITV4 in particular, or ITVX if you watched on streaming as I did. And I wanted to talk about it because I wanted to get your opinion. I've seen some comments online, some of them good, some of them bad, some of them kind of in the middle. There's some stuff that there I agree with, some stuff there I don't agree with. So I thought it would be good to get your thoughts on it, so please do drop a comment below because I like to hear what people think. I always tell you what I think, so I think you should tell me what you think. So I just want to cover some thoughts on it really. Firstly, I have to say, isn't it just so good to see the BRC back on television? It's on terrestrial TV, so anyone with a TV can watch it. And that is a huge step. That in itself is massive. For the BRC to be on TV is huge. It's enormous. It's such a massive step. And I keep using words like massive and huge, but because it is massive and huge, it's such a big step on from where we've been for the last few years. So that in itself is amazing. And I don't want this to come across as too negative. The last video about the point system got very negative, and I don't want to do that. There are some things that I think could be improved, but I hope if anyone who's watching this, who was involved with the coverage, if, by any chance they do see this, I don't want them to think that I'm just having a dig at them, because that isn't the case, because what they did was really difficult. It's not easy to cover rallying, so I hope they will take this as constructive criticism. So let's get into it. Should we start with some good stuff or some bad stuff? Let's start with some good stuff, because there was some good stuff. I'll try and do the good stuff, and then I'll maybe do the bad stuff. I liked seeing a bit of an introduction to the cars and the points. I think one of the big challenges is that people, the general public, are not that aware of rallying. They're not experts, and we have to remember that. So I'm sure some people watched that and thought, "Oh, this is so boring. Why are they telling me stuff I already know?" But you have to remember that this is a show for everyone. This isn't just for the hardcore fan. It's for the newcomer. So they had a nice graphic with a pyramid and showing how the different cars compare to each other, and I liked that. I thought that was a good step. I think one thing I also liked was the fact that they had footage from the launch for the MEM Castrol team with the Yaris, and they talked a bit about that, and they interviewed Marion Evans. I thought that was a really nice touch, because by doing that, it helped to show that there's growth in the championship. It helped to show that the BRC's, getting up there, because we've got this new car and it's very exciting, and it showed that there's some media hype around it. So I like that. I thought that was a nice step. Sorry, I'm just looking through my list. I wrote a list. I write a lot of lists recently for videos. What else did I like? I thought David Addison did a good job. I know he has a little bit of experience with rallying, but he's more of a circuit guy. But generally, I know some people were complaining that he pronounced Beacon Fell wrong. Okay, it's a bit annoying. It's not the end of the world, is it? I don't know. I thought there were some people that seemed really angry about that. You have to remember that he's reading a script. He might not have ever been there. I don't know. I thought generally he did a good job. He tried to create a bit of excitement in the commentary, and I thought he did okay. He's a professional. He's got experience in motorsport. To me, I thought he did a decent job for the first show. I think as he gets more into it, I think he'll get better, and he knows what he's doing, doesn't he? So I thought he was okay. What else did we have? I thought obviously it was a really difficult rally, wasn't it? There was a lot of delays, a lot of hold-ups, a lot of problems with crashes. I actually think they handled that pretty well. They could maybe have gone a bit further with creating the drama and talking about the challenge of the crashes and because of the road conditions and the weather and the mud and all that stuff. But I thought they handled it okay. You know, they managed to get some footage of cars being recovered and I mean, I even saw people complaining that they'd used phone footage. I mean, people have been using amateur footage in rally coverage for years. If you watch RPN coverage of the Irish Tarmac Championship, they always used to use fan cam, they called it, I think, didn't they? So that was, you know, amateurs have recorded on video cameras. And I quite like that, you know, they give that person a bit of credit and we get to see some extra footage, so I thought that was okay. I thought they handled the whole delay thing pretty well. You could see that it had impacted the amount of footage that they got, but I thought it was okay, you know, and it's something to build on, isn't it? I think they're learning their way, and I thought, you know, the coverage from Garstang was pretty good. I'm glad that they had cameras there. I think that was really important, and it showed the scale, didn't it, and showed the buzz. So that part of it was good. Yeah, so I think there was positives, you know, and I think the graphics were pretty good, and I think, you know, the production values around that side of it were all pretty good. So I thought it was okay. I hope it will continue to improve. I suppose we should probably get onto some of the downsides, and there was some downsides. I think for me, I said that they probably struggled for footage a little bit, and I understand that. I think some of the camera work was lacking though. Now, I don't want to be too hard on them because, as I understand it, you know, the camera crews didn't have lots of rally experience, and filming rallies is difficult. If you're used to filming other forms of sport, or, you know, even filming at circuits, filming on rallies is going to be a whole new thing, isn't it? And it can take a bit of time. No one goes to their first event and is an expert. So there was definitely work to do there. Some of the camera positions weren't as good as they could have been, and I've seen some people complaining that they had cars on, you know, between the flying finish and the stop line. I don't actually have a huge problem with that. But I think given the limitations in terms of stoppages, I think we need to cut them a little bit of slack. But I do think, you know, next time, I hope they learn a bit in terms of camera positioning. The drone footage in particular was not very good. I mean, I can't say too much because if I was flying the drone, it wouldn't have captured anything. It would have been sky, floor, crash, game over. So I can't criticise that too much, but, you know, there's definitely some learning. You could tell that the whoever was operating the drone and the camera was like, oh, there's a car, oh, it's gone. And yeah, that definitely needs work. And there are good people out there that can do that. All I would say on the footage side is that I really hope that the people involved in filming just spend a bit of time on YouTube, look at the way people film. And I will always say this, get the camera low, get it as close to the road as possible, and you should be okay. So yeah, there was definitely some work to be done there. Other things that I didn't think worked very well. I think the way that we introduced the drivers and the crews and the teams a little bit could have been improved. I thought at one point I was watching it and they were showing some interviews from Garstang, and I thought when they had Ingram on the screen, they had his name at the bottom, Chris Ingram, and then Ocean Price. I did think, well, maybe you should put, 2019 European champion, 2022 British champion under the name, just to kind of give people a bit of context, because there are some really good drivers in the championship this year. So I think we need to emphasise the quality and the depth of the entry. So I mean, I know David Addison mentioned it a little bit, so that may become a bit of a moot point. But I just think introducing the teams and drivers. I remember watching, I think it was BRC 95, 96, that kind of era when it was still BBC. At the start of each season, so at the first round, they would always do a bit of an introduction, who was driving for what team. So you had Alistair McRae, Volkswagen, Mark Higgins, Nissan, and who had moved around, or if there was new cars. So maybe a bit more of that would have been good, but hopefully they'll talk about that a bit more as the season goes on and give us a bit more insight into some of the other things. But I think on that note, in terms of getting behind the scenes a little bit, one thing I would say is that I don't think the interviews were very good. I always go back to this, if you've been following me for any length of time, you will know that I'm not a backwards looker generally, and I always want to evolve and do things in new ways and embrace the new. but I always, when it comes to coverage, I always go back to Tony Mason and that 90s era, because he just had a knack of being in the service area, getting in front of a driver or a team boss with a microphone, kind of asking the right questions. There was humour, and I just think it's a very difficult job. I know it takes a very particular person to be able to do that, and I think we maybe need to work on that a bit more. I was a bit surprised when it comes to interviews that we didn't see any stage end interviews, given that MCR media do the stage ends for Facebook and things. It seems strange that some of that footage wasn't carried over into the highlights package, because that might have added a bit of depth to it. But yeah, so I thought that was a bit weird, and I think that's something that I need to work on. I keep saying this, it's the drivers and the people and the stories that make the sport. You know, I know some people will disagree with that and say it's all about stage footage. I don't believe that. If you want rallying or any sport to appeal to a broader audience, you have to get the human stories, because it's human stories that allow people to connect to it. So show us the personality of the drivers, you know, have some back and forths and banter, some fun questions, some awkward questions as well. You know, we want drama, don't we? We want to see a little bit of drama in there and a little bit of a raw emotion if things are going well or if they're going badly. So I think there's definitely work to do there. I think the last thing I would say, I think I would have just liked to have seen a bit more, and I want to caveat this by saying it might have been a result of the delays at the Northwest stages, but I would like to have seen a bit more of some of the other crews. We saw lots of Ingram, we saw a relatively reasonable amount of Price given his retirement, quite a lot of Cronin, a lot of William Crichton, and that's fine, but it would have been nice to see a bit more of the others. We saw a lot of Marion Evans, didn't we? But maybe see a bit more of some of the juniors, a bit more of some of the national guys. I know it's difficult to fit all that in, and you want to tell the story of the people at the sharp end because they're the ones going fastest, but at the same time, I think people like to see a bit of a mix, and just even if it was just a quick run through of who had won which class, or the top three in each class or something. Do you know what I mean? Just to give the people a bit lower down something to shout about and say, look, I got on the telly. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think that covers it. So let's finish this. Let's wrap this one up. Let's finish it with a question. Go back to the question that I asked you at the very beginning, and that is, what did you think of the coverage? I would very much like to know if there was stuff that you liked, if there was stuff that you didn't like. As I said, I don't want it to turn into a pile-on. You know, they had a difficult job and they're new to it. I don't think we should be too harsh on them. Give them time. We should be really grateful that ITV are willing to send people to cover these events. You know, that is a big step, as I said. So let's hope that the stuff that we aren't so happy about improves. Let's be thankful that the coverage even exists in the first place. But yeah, drop your comments in below and just let me know what you think. You know, is there something that you think was really good that I've missed? Is there something you think that was really bad that I've missed? I would love to know. And you know, maybe someone from ITV will watch this and it will make it better and we can enjoy it more in the future. So as always, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, follow me over on socials and all that stuff. And I will see you again next time.